Are you struggling to open up your opponent? Or maybe you're on the flip side and you're getting tossed around like a ragdoll all day? Well, don't worry, you're not alone and I'm here to help. Hello everyone, today we're going to break down everything you need to know about strike throw offense in Granblue Fantasy vs Rising. Since this game is released, I've seen many players really struggling to wrap their head around how to open their opponent up and expressing how it feels difficult to run offense in this game. I've also seen people say the opposite, where they don't really understand how to defend as well. So I'm going to try to help with all of that. From what strike throw even means, how to utilize and improve at it, and also how to defend against it. So for starters, what do people mean when they say strike throw? This is a pretty common term that you'll hear across all different types of fighting games. Strike throw refers to mixing up your opponent with either a throw, which is an unreactable, unblockable attack that requires the defender to take some form of preemptive action to counter it, whether this be teching a throw, putting out a normal, whereas the strike refers to using a normal attack to frame trap the defender and punish them for whatever preemptive action they were taking to counter the throw. The key here is this situation is not reactable and requires both players to be rotating their options to remain unpredictable and try and read their opponent. Strike throw across all fighting games is the most common form of mix-up. It's one of the core fundamentals of fighting games, if you will. Understanding it and mastering it will be important for any fighting game. Every game does have its own spin on it, however, and Granblue is no exception. With Granblue, most characters do not have access to fast overheads or really any other type of crazy mix-up, and for most characters, it just kind of boils down to good old-fashioned strike throw. It's core of the game, so with that said, let's get into it. We should start by going over how throws work. Throws are 4-frame startup, making them the fastest move a character has access to, at the cost of not having much range, of course. Oh yeah, I will be going over frame data throughout this video, but if you find frame data confusing and don't really understand it, don't worry, you'll still be able to learn plenty from the video. Also, if you aren't familiar with any of the terms I use in this video, be sure to check out the FGC glossary, which has great explanations of all of our common terminology. You can find a link to that in the description below. Anyways, there's another thing we need to consider with throws, and that is throw invincibility. This refers to the frames in which the defender is invincible to throws on wake up or after leaving block stun. On wake up, you have 10 frames of throw invincibility, and out of block stun, you have 6 frames of throw invincibility. This is important because it means it is not possible to throw the opponent without them being able to represent a counterattack with a fast normal, such as a 2L for example. The attacker must condition the opponent to respect their offense by representing frame traps to convince the opponent to sit still, and the defender needs to be willing to use a fast normal from time to time to disrupt the opponent's offense. This essentially means that throws are never free, and the defender has options beyond just teching the throw in any situation. Speaking of throw techs, let's talk about those next. Throw tech refers to the window of time in which the defender can break a throw attempt after the throw has made contact. In this case, the throw tech window is 15 frames. This number is significant because it is just low enough that you cannot tech throws on reaction, but it is long enough that it gives the defender just a bit of wiggle room in terms of their defensive timings. In the previous version of Granblue, the throw tech window was much bigger, thus allowing you to tech throws on reaction, which was a significant difference and caused the game to be much slower. With this in mind, players are forced to guess and mix up their defensive timings, giving the attacker more advantage, but making the process more interactive overall. There are actually 2 types of throw techs in this game. The one we've been talking about is for teching a throw with a throw input yourself. You can also tech throws by just pressing any attack button. This is a big difference because it means you can tech in a way that results in a normal move coming out in the case you were not thrown, which is in many cases much safer and harder to punish than whiffing your entire throw animation. Otherwise, teching a throw in this fashion is the same, except for one other difference. When teching a throw by pressing a single button, the defender will be put into a stagger state of sorts instead of the usual throw tech animation. This is not just a visual difference, as when the defender techs in this way, it actually leaves the attacker at frame advantage. When throw teching in the traditional way, both players are usually returned to neutral at the same time. When teching with a single button, the attacker is left at +6, giving them the chance to push their offense again. The advantage of teching with this method is pressing a normal is generally less risky and can even result in you poking out of their offense, but it comes at the downside of not exactly getting out of their pressure. While they cannot represent another immediate throw from this position, the attacker still has advantage. It's also important to note the defender does still take a small amount of chip damage, so don't feel too discouraged if someone keeps teching your throws with this method. Think of teching in this way as kind of a half measure. You don't get thrown, but you still take some damage and are still on the defensive. Now we can talk about the strategy surrounding throws. A common question I hear is how often should you represent throws? And the answer honestly is that it depends on the opponent and how they're defending. The way I like to think about it is like this. Throws are to beat blocking. If the opponent has shown they're willing to block, you should show you're willing to throw them. Throws are to get the opponent to make a decision. If the opponent is already making active decisions on defense, such as trying to poke out or jump or whatever, you don't need to throw them. You throw people so you can hit them. You don't hit them so you can throw them, at least for the most part. A common mistake is that players will go for throws on an opponent who has not been conditioned to sit still before attempting throws. If they are teching our throw, how do we punish them for that? Even if the defender is choosing the correct option, that is information you can use for next time. Don't look at getting your throw teched as a loss. Think of it kind of as information for next time so you can make a better decision. Sometimes doing certain actions on offense can be good just to get information on how your opponent is defending. Waiting on your offense to see how they react can be good. Going for throws early in a game, even if tech, can condition the opponent to get baited later on. So how do we punish them for teching? The most common answer would be a throw bait, or shimmy as they're often called. This is the act of making it look like you're going to throw the opponent by walking forward or just leaving a brief gap in your offense, and then walking backwards outside of throw range and punishing the throw with a full combo. This is a very high reward call out, and is a great way to punish those who just can't keep their hands in their pockets. It's not without its flaws, however. The defender could look to stick out a normal as a call out to take their turn back, or even use a low move to punish you for walking backwards. This has added benefit in this game since you can tech a throw with a single button press. The attacker can, of course, punish this with a traditional frame trap, or in some cases, walking outside of the range of the normal the opponent is pressing, and would punish them. Another option to specifically deal with players using a normal attack to tech throws is to time your throw attempt to catch the startup of their normal. This will result in a no escape happening, which locks the opponent out of a throw tech. If you are getting your throws baited, you either need to sit still or stick out a normal instead. And if your throw attempts aren't working, you need to mix up timings or go for more throw baits and frame traps. There is another way to make someone flinch on defense, and that's with a delayed normal. This is usually done after walking or running into the opponent for a brief period. This is a somewhat risky option, but the confidence required is sure to get a reaction out of your opponent. The idea with this is you are looking to target specifically the startup of their throw or normal. This can be difficult since normals and throws are pretty fast, so the window is tight. But I think with this game, you need to be comfortable with making reads like this occasionally, and it can be just the thing you need to shake your opponent. I mentioned previously that the throw tech window is 15 frames. That means the defender has a decent amount of leniency in how late they can tech the throw. Very commonly, you will see the defender lean on what is called a delayed tech. This is essentially trying to time your throw tech as late as possible, so if the opponent does an immediate attack, you block it. If they throw you, you have a big enough window to tech it late. Because this window is large, the attacker needs to be mindful of what timings they are looking to target, and the defender needs to be mindful to mix up not only their timings, but their options as well. If you feel like your frame traps aren't working and your throws aren't working, you probably need to put more delays in your offense or go for more prolonged shimmies to actually get the opponent's throw whiff to come out. There's also more to offense than just the immediate threat of throw as well. Sitting outside of your opponent's effective range and boxing them in, forcing them to make risky decisions can be effective. From here, you can look to whiff punish or counter poke your opponent, or look to anti-air their escape. Once you have the opponent hesitant to make any actions, this gives you the opportunity to get back in there and apply more pressure. Representing pressure resets with plus frames is a good way to force the opponent to do something to get their turn back. Even sneaking in some rating strikes or going for chip damage is an option as well. Using all of the options at your disposal is going to make it that much harder for the opponent to defend correctly. It is very easy to tunnel vision on the immediate mix-up, but sometimes just locking them down can be better. Strike throw is ultimately an interactive game of push and pull. Throw makes the defender have to take action. The defender representing their defensive options can make the attacker apprehensive to push their offense too far. But if the defender makes a bad call, the attacker can make them pay the price. When you get hit on defense, ask yourself why your opponent had the read they did. If your offense just isn't working out, you need to mix up your timings and make the defender uncomfortable. I think that about covers the most important aspects of offense in this game. Because offense is so interactive, it can be tough to truly figure it out, so don't get discouraged. It takes time. If you have any questions, or if there are any video ideas you would like me to cover, let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, consider dropping a like and subbing to the channel. It actually helps a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.